Welcome everybody to the Sprunk One Cup Stock Car Series Championship presented on Grand Theft Auto. I am VIPPrimo and I'm going to be your host for this afternoon. We have a full field of racers who are lining up to race today, and I can't believe the attendance. We had 22 people sign up. As always, connectivity issues are a big concern when it comes to Grand Theft Auto to take out some of the best racers. It also played a key role in a couple of racers here who were unable to select the choicest vehicle, which is the Sprunk Buffalo, for the race. And for that reason, some of them will be at quite the disadvantage and others will basically be sticking it out for the race, and which is unfortunate, but is part of the equation. One thing that we suggest for anybody who's going to be racing in the race is to race a race before that's in the sport class and choose your Sprunk Buffalo so that you're guaranteed to have it when the race starts. Others, I would suggest just reading the instructions to make sure you actually have the car. But that's nor here nor there. Regardless of what happened about who chose what today, we're having a massive race, and it is starting right now. So we started off with B-Dog, got the pole position today. He's also going to be the host of the event. Mueller here stepping it right up and getting right into the grit of the position one. We expect a lot of position changes today just because everybody's using the same kind of vehicle. Everybody's got the same kind of speed. The big thing that you're going to see is obviously drafting between the racers, which is going to flip-flop their positions a lot. As you can see, here's a lot of traffic. Agent Ranger taking the first position with Mueller and Star Killer right up there, but there's a lot of traffic in here. And as those positions get deep, it makes it very difficult for people to select lanes. It's going to be very important for the racers today to start garnering friendships with other racers and making sure that when they're in their groups that they can pick somebody who's going to be just as fast as they are, is going to be able to benefit them over the long run. And sometimes that can be more difficult, especially in gaming, than, say, in real life stock car racing, because some of the tactics are not very well embraced between racers when it comes to an online world. An online world is a very lopsided, one-sided, me or nobody kind of situation that people get accustomed to. And when you get into races like this, it's all about making friends. It's all about saying who's going to be. Now we see Agent's already taken a spill there, so he's a little bit back in the way there. Jax is in the Alpha, I believe, and he ended up being he's up in front right now, taking that position. That's one of those guys that basically position-wise, we're wondering how the points are going to be distributed as they come around, and based on his position at the end of the race to see if that car was able to give him some sort of benefit. We did allow people to use these vehicles for this race, but it probably won't be something that we allow for the next race, and we may have a test run race beforehand to make sure everybody has their car, and then that way they can come back and race the laps the way they need to. So again, like I said, the online racing world and any kind of online world in general has a very me-centric thinking process. The idea that, it's all about what I'm doing and how I play the game. And you kind of have this, if I race better than everybody else, then therefore I'm going to have a better chance of winning. And when it comes to the stock car field, there we have, see again, Jex up there, Mueller coming in second, RPM definitely moving up in the third. And in the stock car racing field, that really isn't how it works. You're going to see people who, you don't want to overtake somebody like we see there and just kind of move ahead and leave the other person behind, because what's going to happen is now that person can't catch up and you can't shift back and forth. And even when it comes to winning, it's going to be a positional argument about who's going to be in front and who's going to take that first and second position, and being able to kind of play the role of, how do I get ahead, how do I get behind. So as we've seen here, everybody's kind of settling into their position. They've got some distance between each other, and there's not a lot of pushing and pulling. That always changes when it comes to the stock car field, because it magically, there's always going to be somebody that's just a little bit faster, and when they get a little bit faster, they catch up to somebody and they start, getting pulled forward with that drafts, as we can see there. And hopefully that's going to tighten the field up to between the first and at least fourth or fifth positions here that I can see. At least 4 racers here that are very solid in their position and have a good chance of taking this top spot. That doesn't mean that the guys in the back don't have any kind of chance. If you're 17th position and you're trying to catch up and you get a friend, even with these other guys going back and forth, they're obviously battling, and with that battling, it's going to slow them down a little bit, and it's going to put them into a position of, when 2 cars are next to each other and they want to argue about who gets the best position, guys in the back can take advantage of that and move up. But it's all about consistency. We said this in every race we've ever done, is it's all about being consistent. If you as a racer, again, are me-concentric and are not thinking about the entire system itself and how each lap is going to go down, it's not just about racing the track, it's about racing with the people too, which is totally different than a lot of people do when they do racing. If you can't handle all those variables, get a good pull rocket there. Now we got a position up. Now we have one of these guys in one of the outer cars, causing a little bit of problem here. But like I said, with that, if you can't work in those positions, you're going to end up in a situation where that not being consistent can play a key role in how you can drop positions, get yourself into a lot of problems, and not be able to recover from that thing. And then at the end of the race, you're sitting there asking yourself, why was I unable to make this race happen? And the other thing is I hope you can watch a video here and kind of see what worked for the people that were up front and what didn't work, and then hopefully that'll develop into something where you can have a winning race. A lot of banging there. Oh, that's the way to take him out. So I see that car is no longer a threat to the front of the pack. We've been racing very clean here. We do see some wall banging here with the cars. Star Killer's got some damage to the front of his car. I think he's been kind of rubbing into the wall and doing some damage that way. But on the whole, everybody looks pretty clean, pretty fresh. We see here Mueller's got some distance to make up for, to get back into those top spots there and kind of challenge the leaders. And those guys have some distance on him, but I don't see anybody behind him that's really pushing or causing any kind of a threat to his position. He's got some distance here. So we've pretty much moved it down to 3 racers at the moment. And I'm sure they got some steady positioning going on themselves. And it looks like those guys up there are really kind of walking it back and forth about who's going to be leading, who's not. Mueller, she really shouldn't give up on this position right now. Again, like we were saying, this is going to be about all racing clean and all racing the line, just getting there. So see, you can already see somebody's coming in behind him and is going to help him out. There's, I believe that's RPM, and he's another person that was in last week's race, and I'm assured that he's got some familiarity about getting some momentum using that drafting position. It did look like Mueller got a big run there to keep him ahead. So I don't know if he made it too far out to maybe pull the draft off of RPM. Yeah, it looks like the distance got it there, but he's catching up okay. Maybe he's giving him a little bit of, maybe backing off the throttle a little bit to give him a good run. And that's the other thing too, is sometimes you don't want to just give it up. You may want to, inch it into the position, because slowing down too much can be giving the other person not enough room so that you can keep up with their position, because you don't want both racers slowing down. So you get a little more lap traffic there with the Tropus. Star Killer in second position. A lot of little shifting going on here, but in the whole we have basically two groups here that are really kind of looking for that top position. These guys have a good opportunity to come up and race on these front guys as soon as they get a little bit more combative in their position. And as you can see, these guys are trading back and forth in their position. Still a little tapping going on, and that can be expected when it comes to drafting. Regardless, as long as they're able to get their timing down and push themselves forward, that's going to result in something. So we can see here that now the draft's been lost from the first and second position. There's a lot of space between them. This is the point when these guys can capitalize on it, really move up the field here, and start showing some distance changes. And they will speed up on them really fast. You're going to see how quick that position changes if these two guys can stick together. And that's the other thing. RPM is a fast racer. He knows a lot with his lines. He's good with the way his structure of racing is, and it kind of puts him in a position where it makes it very difficult for him to find a racing partner, because he's got to have somebody that can push along with his speed and get into his kind of pocket, if you will, race his distinct kind of style. And see here, he's not picking it up. He's not getting the speed forward. So it looks like he pulled a little bit off the pedal there to let him go by. And now they're going to start moving, hopefully moving back and forth to get themselves some speed. Yep, there's RPM taking on the outside. A lot of momentum going on the outside there to move him into that position. Now see, he's picking up the lower draft while he's picking up the upper draft. And I'm guessing that's Star Killer. So Mueller's going high, RPM's going to go low. We get back into there. We're going to get some bump and rub in there. Yeah, he's on taking the lower line. There's Jack, I believe. And now we're coming up on 4 racers, right back in it, right back to the competition. Very tight, 3 wide. Oh, lots of banging going on there. A little bit of trading paint goes a long way. Now they're packing into 2 groups here to try to see who's going to be what group and what group's going to make the distance on it. And he got a little bit too much momentum, has left himself out there kind of hanging. These guys are back in the back here, but it looks like that they're 3 wide, so they're not really getting much of a pull off of it. This is turning into quite the battle. And now they've broken it up a little bit. Again, coming back to that lap traffic there. I believe that's RPM that took the lower line there. And he's got a lot of momentum coming up on the high line. Now he's got a buddy to go with him. Jack goes low. He's got the lead position, but he's not going to keep it as he comes around the side there and takes the position back. But it looks like he's going to have his position taken away. And RPM's going to come right at the middle and take it back from them. As you can see, this is it's funny because in regular stock car racing, it's a lot of consistency. Everybody kind of sits in their spot. When it comes to the way this kind of stock car racing goes, to really maximize your drafting potential, you have to be able to pass and trade back and forth on who's faster and who's slower. And that leads to a lot of positional changes. Look at that Jet. He's just moving up through the field there. Went way too high. Didn't have a lot of momentum. Delivered it up and did not, make that edge work for him while Mueller takes the lead. But once again, RPM moving around the corner. There's a little bit of dodging and weaving there, and it looks like the 3-pack up top have left somebody behind. And Jack being one of them. Now, I'm guessing that Jack's slowing down to get his partner again to try to move in and try to take that position again. And that's going to be an interesting move on his part if that's the plan. these guys. Again, RPM moves ahead. He gets a lot of momentum, leaves his drafting partner behind, which leaves Jack back into the position to really take advantage of that. And that could be, I mean, that really to me says that's a tactical move that you don't want to keep making. And I've seen him make it on a regular basis. And that we're, see, here where's the pack comes in. And RPM again is doing he's basically a one-man battle. And it leaves him in a position where this is now a fight against 4 people instead of a fight against 2 people. And you can already tell Jack is not going to give up this position easily. Mueller's definitely fighting for the top. He knows how to get out front. He knows how to keep that position. And he's going to want to... He understands that he's going to have to give it up from time to time, and he's okay with that. Just gets the dodge and weave, get back in it, and take that momentum down the line. So once again, we have RPM up front. But there you go. Another shift over to position as Mueller takes that position away. And now we have another little switch there. Looks like he's got the good top 2 guys again have now positioned themselves into a nice rhythm. Maybe got a little bit too much momentum there. Possibly. No, there we go. We're switching again. So these guys are going to start trading off again. It looks like they've got their momentum. Starkiller here wants this lead and wants to keep it. I think he moved himself back up from having a little bit of difficulty at the beginning of the race back to where he needed to have some competitive run here. And obviously he's got somebody to run with him so that he can get around this course and potentially get a victory. But he's up there by himself. So here we got Starkiller and Mueller. And now we have Jack back in the battle again. Tons of momentum out of the third to the first position, just taking it on. Does he have enough to keep it? And we have there's RPM in 4th, 5th and 6th. B-Dog just took 5th position. Oh, Mueller's got a lot of distance that he's got to make up here. When they got all that momentum, they just whipped it around and kind of left him in the cold. And I know what that feels like because I've been in that position. It is no fun to look up and just see everybody take each other's draft and you realize you didn't have the momentum to grab it to keep going. So we're going to stick with these guys up front here. Jack's powering through here, but he's got some traded positions here. And they've got a little bit of distance to make up. But here is the finish line. And that's how we're going to do it. Starkiller, then Jack, and then Mueller. I definitely think the use of that alpha put him in a better position. So that'll be something we're going to look at for next weekend to make sure that nobody's using a vehicle that's outside of that class. And there's another regular Buffalo. The regular Buffaloes were allowed, so those were good. So we have Starkiller, Jack, Mueller, Speedwolf. Man, it was a great race. Don't forget to tune in next Sunday at 10 p.m. for another great race. Have fun. Bye.